Welcome to the Breakup Recovery Podcasts by your host, Barbara Stevens. Discover the wisdom and remarkable insights of Barbara Stevens, breakup recovery mentor, author, and public speaker. Barbara offers programs and solutions for any breakup so you can turn your life around, create lasting changes for the better, and embrace life again.
Hello and welcome to my podcast, Breakup Recovery. This is episode number 025, 3 Steps to Rebuilding Your Self-Worth After Your Breakup. I'm Barbara Stevens, and in this episode I will share with you 3 steps that you can use to build your self-worth after your breakup. Unfortunately, the end of a breakup can start a dark and gloomy journey into the world of low self-esteem, low self-worth, anxiety, and depression. How easy is it to tell yourself that your life is over because you have lost your soulmate? How easy is it to dwell on all the negative and awful comments and hurtful words that were exchanged between yourself and your ex, usually in times of anger, arguments, and disagreements. Often you feel crappy and miserable after a breakup. Your future is now uncertain. You're confused because your life has been turned upside down, and the thought of moving on after your breakup seems impossible. You can find that you begin to isolate yourself, hiding from everyone and staying in the comfort of your home. This seems the safest way you know to cope. But when you do this, isolating yourself, your rational mind can go out the window. You would rather immerse yourself in the negative emotions, dwell on the painful things said in anger, rehash hurtful memories, and believe you are unworthy, unlovable, inadequate, and lacking in some way. This behaviour is so damaging to your self-worth and must be stopped if you're going to move forward and recover from your breakup. Relationships are works in progress, and they are hard work and end for many reasons. There are so many aspects to a relationship and so many things that you must agree and decide on. Otherwise, tension and frustration becomes the norm, and if left unresolved, can lead to the finish of your partnership. There are things like the finances, behaviours, other family relationships and dynamics, household responsibilities, career goals, religious beliefs, friendships, etc. So many things that must be resolved, agreed upon, and settled for you to continue in a harmonious relationship. Once you move past the initial shock and sadness of your breakup, and if you keep yourself isolated, there is a good chance that you will fall deeper and deeper into misery and unhappiness. Doom and gloom become the norm for you. I'm hoping that you now realise that things can't keep going on the way they're going. It's time to build your self-worth. Let's take this opportunity for self-reflection and self-improvement. Getting your self-worth back involves taking control of your thoughts and behaviours. It's about letting go of the old and limiting thoughts and behaviours and accepting it's time to move forward. The first step I would like to share with you is be compassionate towards yourself and stop your inner critic. What words are you saying to yourself about your breakup? I want you to listen to what you're telling yourself. Now, they might be things like, nothing I ever do works out. I'm a failure. I'm a loser. I'm no good at relationships. If you are saying these things to someone else who had just broken up from their partner, you would be accused of being a bully, because they are the words of a bully. If you are listening to someone else say these words to a person who had just gone through a breakup, or anyone else for that matter, you would have the same response. You would think that this person is unkind and being a bully. So if you are being too hard on yourself, using unkind words, you need to sort this inner bully out. You may be so used to criticising yourself that you don't even realise that you're doing it. It's an unconscious habit, and a bad habit at that. It's the same as overanalyzing everything that went wrong with your relationship. It's a behaviour that is unproductive and will not help you to move forward. If anything, it will keep you in a place of unhappiness. Don't allow your inner voice to be overcritical of your role in the breakdown of your relationship. Stop being so hard on yourself. This is not a pity party. You don't need to shoulder all of the blame for the breakup. Many things are beyond your control, and as I discussed earlier on, there are so many aspects, so many moving parts that are part of a relationship and a breakup. Not all of them could be your fault. The reality is that things didn't work out for you. You're not a failure or a loser, and I'm sure you have other amazing relationships in your life if you just took the time to think about it. It's just that this one didn't work out for you. Now, I would like you to challenge these negative and demoralizing thoughts. Nothing I do ever works out. I'm a failure. I'm a loser. I'm no good at relationships. Are these thoughts really true? I would like you to make an effort and reframe thoughts into more positive ones. If you are still struggling and finding a compassionate response to these negative and unhelpful thoughts, think how you would respond to a friend in a similar situation. If they were telling you that they were a loser and no good at relationships, would you be agreeing with them? No, you would be reframing these thoughts and giving them positive ones to consider. For some, this is a new way to respond to your negative thoughts and may take some time and effort as you replace your old way of dealing with thoughts, perceived shortcomings, mercilessly judging and criticizing yourself for various perceived inadequacies. It's an attitude and a skill that will benefit your self-worth. It's time to honour yourself, believe in your value, show yourself kindness, and learn to be nicer to yourself. The second step I would like to share with you today is forgive yourself. Forgiving yourself can sometimes be the hardest thing, and yet it's the easiest way to change everything. It can change your whole outlook on life and your thoughts about your breakup. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting what has happened. It just means releasing the negatives, the resentment that is holding you back from moving forward. It's tough to forgive yourself. Often you want to blame your ex-partner for your failed relationships. Sometimes we blame everyone but ourselves. But things aren't usually that one-sided. There can be blame on both sides. And then there are other situations where you shoulder all of the blame and beat yourself up over the breakup. This becomes second nature. This can lead to guilt, misery, and sadness. Anyone who's wallowing in guilt is going to be more withdrawn, more critical, and less likely to see a way forward. Mistakes are made by everybody, and sure, looking back on your past relationship and given a second chance, I'm sure there are some things you would have done differently and expressed differently. But life involves making mistakes, not getting it right, failing and faltering. None of us are perfect. Things do go wrong and do not always work out the way we planned. I hope that you will take on board the lessons from your breakup experience and that these lessons will help you with similar situations in the future. This step is about letting go of the heavy burden you're carrying, letting go of all the resentment, forgiving yourself for the choices you made and didn't make. Forgive yourself for the things you said or didn't say. Forgiveness is about acknowledging your mistakes and moving on. It doesn't mean condoning or excusing what has happened, and it doesn't mean that you forget. It's about releasing yourself from the guilt. I'm going to give you a practical tip now to start this process. This is just a suggestion that could work for you or may not. It's just worth considering. When you can't forgive yourself because of something you've done to someone else, Sometimes all it takes is a sincere apology to make things right. Apologies are most effective if made in person. Sometimes this is not practical for a number of reasons. Your ex-partner may live too far away, or you feel that you could get flustered and not be able to say what you need to say. So a letter could work in that situation. Once that you feel that you have made amends, it's time to stop your inner critic and start a new thought process that is more positive. It's about knowing that despite your flaws, you are a good person. You make mistakes, you're not perfect, but you are okay. And these mistakes help you to improve as a person if you can find the lesson in them. Forgiveness heals your heart, and forgiving yourself and your ex is a practice that will take time, and the process is different for everyone. The third and final step I'm going to share with you in this podcast is accept what has happened. The ending of your relationship and losing your ex-partner is a difficult situation to accept. The sinking feeling you feel as you realise that nothing as you knew it is the same. Your life has been turned upside down and your emotions are all over the place. You go from, has this really happened, to, what am I going to do next? Accepting what happened and moving on can be one of the most challenging things to do. There is no easy fix to the way you are feeling, but there are steps you can take to manage your feelings and to move forward with your life in a more positive way. You can't change the past, you can only change the way you react to it. Sure, you may be feeling that you're stuck right now. That is possibly why you're listening to this podcast. You feel that you are stuck in a holding pattern or stuck in freeway traffic, not moving. But by listening to these podcasts, I hope that you can choose to take on board the steps I'm sharing with you and give them a try. So it's time to accept that your relationship is in fact over. You are no longer a couple. You no longer live together as a couple. You now have to forge your own life, and this change in your relationship status is devastating. But life is about choices, so it's about choosing to accept that this is the place you're meant to be right now. It's about choosing to see the positives that you have in your life and the positives that lie before you. You can choose to be miserable, to fight and struggle with your life on a daily basis, dwell on what could have been or should have been, or you can accept your life and circumstances that the breakup has dealt you is now your reality. It's hard to practice acceptance when you deeply wish things weren't the way they are. It's not easy to do this when you are suffering and holding on to the past. It's time to let go of the if-onlys, I can't live withouts. Realise how destructive these thoughts are, in that they are fantasies that limit and imprison you. They keep you in the holding pattern. They keep you stuck in the traffic jam unless you choose otherwise. Start believing that you're strong enough to face the future. Seek to enjoy the present and live life you deserve. So to recap this episode, 3 steps to rebuilding your self-worth after your breakup. Breakups hurt because they represent loss and change. You have invested a lot of energy into the relationship and now it's over. But sometimes you are your own worst enemy in the way that you speak to yourself. Imagine if you had someone following you around all day, watching your every move and criticising whatever you did. No matter how hard you tried, you were never good enough. You would soon start to feel deflated, crushed and hopeless. This is where you stay if you keep telling yourself such negative and derogatory things about your breakup. You are a worthy person. You should never depend on someone to feel worthy. And we often fall into that trap when we are in a relationship. So when the relationship ends, your self-worth ends with it. No one in the world knows your feelings and hurts as well as you do. There is no shame in admitting you have insecurities or low self-worth. The problem arises when you keep talking to yourself in a demoralizing way. It's your thoughts that create the pain, not the circumstances or the people in your life. It's time to remove your inner critic, change the way you talk to yourself, and reframe these thoughts into a more productive and positive ones. Failing to forgive yourself and your ex for the parts you both played in the ending of your relationship can lead to problems like bitterness, uncontrolled anger, depression, anxiety, and the inability to enjoy life. This might be a stretch at the moment, but if you can get to a stage of you being grateful for the experience, find the lesson or lessons, the purpose behind this challenging time after your breakup. If you can embrace it instead of fighting it, truly forgive yourself, show yourself some compassion, then moving forward will be a little bit easier. Acceptance is not a weakness. It's a conscious choice to choose peace over blame. Nothing is permanent. Everything changes. And of course, a lot of things that happen during your breakup impacts on your life in a significant way. You have two options. You can keep living in the mental prison where you keep reliving past memories, holding on to hurt and resentment. Or you can choose to move forward. You can choose to change your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. You can find happiness and you can move forward. And the last thing I'd like to say is, be gentle on yourself. You deserve happiness.
If you would like to hear previous Breakup Recovery podcasts, visit barbarastevens.com.au. Connect with Barbara Stevens on social media with Barbara Stevens Breakup Recovery Mentor on Facebook and at You'll Be Okay on Twitter. Read further blogs, view webinar replays, and download your free ebook, 3 Easy Steps to Surviving Your Breakup, and much more at barbarastevens.com.au.